Can I be honest with you? I honestly feel like talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! For a video, and I know I already uploaded a video, but it was footage I already used for like a creepypasta over the weekend. But I figured, you know what? I just finished watching Rhymestyle's video on Master Duel and how it's dying, at least on PC. Because at least with PC, you can like see the number of players active at during a specific time and all that, and you can't really do that for a console for whatever reason. But I kind of figured I wanted to do my take on, the state of Master Duel, future Yu-Gi-Oh plans for the channel, discussing just discussing Yu-Gi-Oh in general. Because I feel like I have to do this every once in a while on the channel just to, let my thoughts out and all that. But yeah, it's just there's quite a bit to unpack. So I kind of figured, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and discuss Yu-Gi-Oh! In this video, and also, while I'm here, Trace, no, stop that. Hold on, I'll be right back. But yeah, remember when I said I had a Rezu in my possession? I just didn't know where she was. I found her last night. Found my Rezu, which is good because she has been missing for months, and I had zero idea where she was. But I found her last night. I'm glad I did. And the reason I decided to show this off is because, again, that a while back I made a video talking about scalpers and all that, and mentioned I had an Erezu. I just couldn't find it. This is that exact Erezu, sleeved and put in a card protector because she's extra special to me. So I figured, show her off just because. But yeah, anyways, I went back to talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! So, for those who don't know, about a little bit over a week ago, on Friday, I went to a card shop and, picked up some stuff. I picked up, while mostly Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, I also did pick up a One Piece starter deck. I got the Yamato starter deck for One Piece. I'm not a One Piece fan. I only really picked this starter deck up to, try to learn a new trading card game, because obviously I know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Any format, I know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I know how to play the Pokemon TCG. I know how to play Magic the Gathering, any format for Magic. And I figured, you know what? The Clown Piece one, fuck Clown Piece. I'm thinking Toho, god damn it. The One Piece one sounded pretty interesting. I'm like, they had quite a few starter decks available. I'm like, which one should I pick? And I found Yamato. I'm like, that there is an Oni girl. I'm a Toho fan. I know I'm an Oni girl when I see one. So, obviously, I picked the Yamato starter deck for One Piece because, again, Oni girl. We Toho fans tend to like our Oni girls. And I also somewhat say fans loosely. For obvious reasons I've mentioned many times in the past, and I won't go into because it's not about Toho fans. But so I pick up the starter deck. which unfortunately cost me almost all of my Yu-Gi-Oh cards that were not my 3 decks, except select ones I wanted to keep. And the ones I did want to keep aren't like duplicate. I mean, there's some duplicates obviously, but it's for because a deck build reasons. Not like duplicates. I'm not gonna do nothing with. Obviously, like I've mentioned, I finally got Area of the Water Channeler in English. Finally, thank fucking god. So the Spirit Charmers deck is basically done. Even though I kind of do want to get like another copy of each of the Charmers Link versions, except Dark. I don't care for Dark because I don't really need to utilize Dark. But yeah, obviously I kept my 2 OCG cards, my 2 Witchcrafter OCG cards because duh. Got a Rafflesia, which I've got another one in one of that's not in my deck. And I've mentioned I kept my shadow cards because in case I want to like ever want to use my Live Twin Shadow variant, I can just at any point for whatever reason, I'll take out the Snake Eye stuff, then swap for the Shadows. So that's why I kept the Shadows, and also because the Shadow cards are quite a bit pricey. Believe it or not, they were actually some of the priciest cards I own. Even now. Like, they're not as pricey as the SP Little Knight I own. Nowhere near that much, but they're, again, for each window art, El Shadow window art, it cost me almost $4 for each of these. Separately, almost $4 each. So I spent almost $8 for 2 copies of Window. Both artworks. So I'm like, yeah, that's definitely. I definitely need to keep those. Is there any Shadow cards I absolutely wanted to keep? It would have been the Windows. It would have been my 2 Windows. And also because I really like Windows. So whatever, any version of Windows. I love Windows. So, which unfortunately I didn't really keep my Priestess Augusto or Spiritual Beast Tamer window variants, unfortunately. Because honestly, when I came back home, I just remembered, oh shit, I got rid of those 2. But yeah, I can get those fairly cheap anyway, so it's like it's not a big deal. And also, I got rid of my 2 Shadow cores, which again, not a big deal. I could find 2 copies cheap anyway, so it's like, nah, that doesn't really matter. And even then, those Shadow cores are only really used for fusion fodder for Winda. So, or just they're literally just fusion fodder anyway, because they're trap monsters, so they count as they're both a trap and a monster. So I could use those as fusion material for Shadow monster, fusion monsters. So that's why. But so yeah, it's not. They weren't really that big a deal. But yeah, obviously kept Construct. This is actually one of the cheaper cards in the deck. I think I paid like $2 max. I think it was like either $1 or $2 just for Construct. So not a bad price. Obviously, again, I've got all the Shadow fusion monsters still. Again, I kept basically all the Shadow cards except the Shadow cores. Didn't keep those. I also do not have my nail shadow aerial anymore, so I don't have that either. I just found out I don't have that either. But I can find one cheap anyway, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, again, I had. If you watch my Master Duel videos, you'll know I had my Shadow Live Twin Shadow variant of the deck has 2 Kisako Frost, while my Snake Eye Live Twin Snake Eye version only has 1. Here's the second Live Twin Kisako Frost. Obviously, I kept it. I just removed her from the deck. And then, got my 2 Shadow Beast. Again, got all the Shadow monsters. Well, all the Shadow cards except, the alt art for Construct, Nail Shadow Aerial, and my 2 Shadow cores. But again, I can find those pretty cheap. So I'm not really too worried about it. I'll also have to, get my other 2 versions of Window back as well. Gusto and Beast Tamer. As well as another Wind, the familiar possessed Wind, just because. Or, Wind Channeler. Got. Wait a minute. I have 2 copies of Tour Guide. Why am I only seeing 1? Hold on. Here she is. Found her. But yeah. I kept a copy of Beat Cop from the Underworld, just so I had Beat Cop. I remember pulling that, I remember pulling that 3 years ago when I got my Genesis Impact Booster box. Completely sealed, by the way. I kept Springen's kit because I genuinely really like Kit. I think Kit's a great monster. So and she's cute. I figured keep Kit anyway. Like I said, got another Rafflesia. It's 3 Rafflesias I've got. Got another Pinguacula. So that's 2 Pinguaculas. Both artworks for Tour Guide. Then got Hane, my favorite of the Witchcrafters. Madame Vare. A Gold Rare Ray. Gold Rare Rose. My favorite of the Egyptian gods, Slifer the Sky Dragon. Of course, that was my favorite. Of course, I was going to keep it. I used to have Obelisk and Raw, but I gave Obelisk to my mom's ex-boyfriend, Edward, who was also the reason I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! In the first place. I let him take whatever cards he wanted for a deck, as well as Obelisk. And yep, I didn't have Obelisk, and Ra was in the bunch of cards I sold to get the One Piece starter deck. So that just left Slifer, and Slifer is my favorite, so of course I had to keep Slifer. Got Jenny, Aruru, and the original art Dark Magician. had to keep the original art Dark Magician. Unfortunately, I don't have Dark Magician Girl anymore, but I can find the original art. No problem, I'm pretty sure, so we get that. And then got 2 Shadow Fusions. 1 Shadow Fusion. And then some spares for the Live Twins that I removed from the deck as well when I made the Snake Eyes version. Just because, take up extra slots in the deck. I didn't want to do that. Because, again, for that one video I made, I uploaded last week, when I showed the new cards I got while at the card shop, I showed that even now the deck can brick, and if it bricks, it actually bricks. So, figured those might make the deck even more bricky, so I'm going to take those out. Leave at least 1 copy of each of those in. But yeah, I decided, keep 1 copy in, take the second copy out. But yeah, anyways, enough talk about the cards I kept. Now I want to get into the real meat of the video. Master Duel, and why I haven't been playing it on the channel. Obviously, if you've been watching the channel for all month, obviously, on weekends I do creepypasta readings only for this month exclusively on the weekends. And I'm going to be doing one on the Halloween day as well. But Monday through Fridays, I've been mostly focusing my attention on Melty Blood. Because, honestly, Melty Blood is just that great a game, and I've decided to focus on it. And I've also been doing, the Toho 1cc challenge, which unfortunately is done with now. But yeah, those are the reasons I have not been playing Master Duel on the channel. I haven't even been playing Master Duel on my own time. But yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to make this video was because while I do love Master Duel, there are just some things about it I genuinely do not like. Obviously, the existence of Max C still being in the game being the biggest one, because we have the Molcharmy cards. Max C is literally just all those Molcharmy cards put into one, except much more broken. Because say you activated Molcharmy, right? Say I activated Molcharmy, right? No, I'm doing this wrong. I'm sorry. Say you activate a Molcharmy, right? No, I was doing it. Fuck, I'm so sorry. Maxi just irritates me to a point where I just lose my train of thought and I mix things up. I'm very sorry about that. But imagine I discard a Molcharmy card, right? Which makes it to where every time you normal or special summon a monster, I get to draw a card, right? And then you activate Ash Blossom to negate that, right? And then I activate Called by the Grave, which will banish your Ash Blossom, therefore negating your Ash Blossom. And then you're like, oh, I've still got another trick up my sleeve. And then you discard Max C, right? Which makes it to where every time I special summon a monster, you get to draw a card. And that could go both ways. And for those who don't know, the mold, you can only use the mold charming cards if you don't control any cards on the field. Max C, however, you can control. You can have like a field full of spells and traps in the back row, as well as a field spell, and you can have like one monster in your extra monster zone, and then 5 monsters in the main monster zones. Like, you can have your entire field full. Discard Max C, and every time your opponent special summons a monster, you get to draw a card. And again, even if you try to stop it, there is a chance that your opponent can prevent you from stopping Max C. So it's like, well, I guess I just lose then. And that issue. And I also noticed that the use of Max C in Master Duel also went up. When the October update for most used cards list came up, I saw Max C at a whopping 96%. 96%. Well, it wasn't exactly 96. I think it was like 96.8 or 96.2. It was somewhere in that range. I don't remember the exact percentage, but I do remember seeing 96. 100%. This is 96. And that was with it going up. The card is semi-limited to 2. Meaning you can use up to 2 in the deck. People will say, well, you can just stop it, or if you don't stop it, then you just bad game, or you just kill issue. No, the card is busted 100%. People who use Max C even agree that it is busted and it needs to be banned. And the people who are defending Max C's existence, saying, it just shows that you have a sole reliance on Max C to the point to where if anybody tries to do it, they're like, no, you're wrong. Like that one kid in your gym, that one kid in your class in 3rd grade that always thought he was right even when he was wrong. Yeah, the kinds of people who defend Maxi are literally just that kind of persons. Just nobody can just shut up, right? People are laughing at you if you defend Maxi, but yeah, again, even if you try to stop it, there's no guarantee you can stop it, because again, just say you activated Max C, right? And then you activated Max C. Pretend this evil twin keys to kill is Max C, right? Pretend she's Max C. And then, okay, say you discard Max C from your hand, right? It's my turn. You discard Max C from my hand, your hand, and then I activate Called by the Grave. I activate Called by the Grave, right? To try to banish and negate your Max C. But then, somehow, for whatever reason, you have a Ghost Bell in your hand, right? Ghost Bell can prevent a monster being banished from the graveyard if you discard it. So, not only did you stop me from stopping your Maxi, but you also get to draw all the cards you need to quite literally just finish me. Therefore, ruining the game. And just, game not being fun. Let me win, so that's what matters. or that's what it's supposed to do. Like yeah, it's supposed to do that, but at the same time, that doesn't make it fun for anybody. Like Time Lords, for example, or cards that the whatever the fucking archetype is that makes to where if they have an effect that makes it to where they have an equip spell equipped to them, and they have 0 attack points, and you attack your monster, say again, like for example, right? Say I had Penguicula on the field, right? You had one of those monsters with an equip spell equipped to them. Your monster has 0 attack points, while Penguicula has 2,500 attack points. You attack my Penguicula. You don't take the damage, but I take the 2,500 damage. But yes, the archetype is supposed to do that, but at the same time, that's not fun. Like, why do you play an archetype like that? That's not fun. Well, it lets me win, and I got to higher ranks for using that. Yeah, congratulations. You're a piece of shit. And before you say you have no reason to talk, you play Snake Eye. Snake Eye's meta. Yes, I play meta. However, I play Snake Eye, which is meta. However, I don't need to rely on Snake Eye to win. Like, again, there's a lot of times where I'll use purely only the live twin portion of the deck, or I'll use like trap tricks, or maybe even witchcrafter, right? I don't need unranked even. I don't need to use meta or Snake Eye to win. And that's because I genuinely do like the monsters. I do like the archetype, which is why I like Snake Eye. I thought the monsters looked really neat. I wanted to try the deck out because I liked the monsters. I thought they were neat. Not because they're meta, because they're neat. And yeah, I can, like, put stuff in either of our spell and trap zones. However, it's also easy to get those monsters back on the field or in the graveyard, so you can bring them back. It's not that hard to do that, It's not like ruining to where, oh, I'm banishing the top of your deck face down or whatever. And if you banish cards get banished face down, you're not getting those back. So it's like you just fucking lose then. You just straight up just lose. Which, again, I do play meta. However, I don't play it because they're meta. I played Snake Eye because I think the monsters are neat, and I wanted to play the deck, and I actually just genuinely do have fun. Maybe people have fun using decks like that. It's not they do not have fun using decks like that. They use decks like that because it's an easy win condition for them, and they can go up in rank much faster than others can using that archetype, which is why people still use Ubel, which is why people use Malice, why people use Ryzeal. Again, I play Snake Eye, and I don't even use the full potential of Snake Eye. Cause I'm gonna be honest. How many times have you seen me use Promethean Princess in my Master Duel videos when I play the deck? How many times have you use Promethean Princess? Almost never. How many times do you see me use SP Little Knight? Almost never. And why do I almost never use those cards? Mostly because I really don't need to use those. People who use that archetype, or the Time Lords, or Ubel, or Maxi, they rely solely on those cards. Meanwhile, me, shit. Like, I can utilize, like, I do utilize the live twin in, well, live or evil twin, whichever version, whatever you want to call them. I do utilize that portion of the deck 100%. I utilize it 100%. That's purely because it's my favorite archetype. And when I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh, like a few months after I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh back in 2022, in like March, I saw the live twin monsters. I'm like, oh, I love these two. I wanna make a deck based off them. And then Master Duel came out, and they were in Master Duel. I'm like, I want to play them. And of course, when Master Duel came out and they were in Master Duel, they were meta they were meta, of course. Again, I didn't use them because they were meta. I used them because I generally liked the designs. I thought they looked great. Kill especially, obviously my favorite monster. So of course I'm gonna use the archetype. And I have been using the live turn archetype in Master Duel since day one. And I have not once gotten tired of the archetype, which is why I still use it to this very day. But when it comes to like the Snake Eye stuff, like, remember that one video I made last year where I did play like certain meta decks where I could choose like between like Snake Eye, Ubel, and whatever other deck was available. Because you could only use the specific decks. You couldn't use your own deck. You had to use decks that were already pre-made from like pros and all that. I chose Snake Eye. So, and the reason why I had to play a meta deck was because the event forced you to play a meta deck. I chose Snake Eye because I thought Snake Eye is the only one worth playing. And keep in mind, when I did the event, I had zero clue how to play Snake Eye. And even with $0 of how to play Snake Eye, I got win after win after win in the event with Snake Eye, knowing absolutely no idea how the deck worked or how it played. I just did what I thought I should do, and I kept winning. And that event solidified, like, you know what, maybe I actually did have fun playing Snake Eye. Snake Eye is a pretty fun deck. It's meta, yeah. But it's one of those meta decks that's not like overtly broken to the point where it's easy win, you know? Like, it actually makes you have to play the game, think, and all that. It's therefore making it fun, you know? And this is coming from someone who absolutely hated and still does playing against Snake Eye. Despite, me being a Snake Eye player myself. But, again, this is from someone who has experience on both sides. I play Snake Eye, but I also played against Snake Eye. It's like, even when playing Snake Eye, like, the deck is still not fun to play against. It's not. But if you can beat it, you beat it. You earn that win. But yeah. These monsters here, I play them because I genuinely just enjoy playing the monsters. I thought the monsters are neat, so I enjoyed playing them, which is why I wanted to play Snake Eye. And then you've got then there's like the hand traps, Obviously you got like Ash Blossom. Like, it's Ash Blossom. Do I really need to say anything about Ash Blossom? The same thing could be said about Ash Blossom, like Maxi. You can try to stop Bash Blossom. However, it's not always guaranteed, and I am living proof of that because there have been times where I have discarded Ash Blossom, had Called by the Grave used to try to banish my Ash Blossom, and then I discard my ghost spell that I have in my hand to negate that Called by the Grave. And therefore letting my Ash Blossom resolve. And therefore my opponent surrenders because, I stopped the play. So the same thing could be said about Ash Blossom as Maxi. Same thing could be said about any of these hand traps, actually. But I'm going to be honest. Like, other than Ash Blossom, the only one of the yokai girls that you see at all, the only one you ever really see, is Ghost Belle. And even then, seeing Ghost Belle is very rare. So the only time you ever really see Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit being played is if it's by me or it's someone who's playing against a pendulum deck. For those who don't know, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit can stop pendulums when they activate their effects. So, yeah. That's really the only time you ever see Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit being used to stop pendulums. Otherwise, you never see that. But Ghost Reaper, Ghost Mourner, and Ghost Sister, you never see at all. Like, I have never once personally came across someone who's using these ever. Never came across a single person using these. Ghost Reaper basically allows you to look in your opponent's extra deck. If you discard it, again, coming back to playing Snake Eye, right? Say I'm playing Snake Eye, and so is my opponent, right? There's a very likely chance my opponent is also running a Promethean Princess in the extra deck. So if my opponent's like in the middle of their turn, like doing this, the classic Snake Eye combo, all that, right? And then I discard Ghost Reaper from my hand, which you never see. I can then look at my opponent's extra deck, see that Promethean Princess, and as long as I have Promethean Princess in my extra deck, I can banish their Promethean Princess, therefore preventing her from being used. Which, at the same time, also isn't guaranteed. Because again, like called by and all that stuff. So, and even then, there's still a chance they could also get her back. So, you never really see that, which is a downside to, Ghost Reapers, which honestly very wise to why she's not played. Ghost Mourner's effect basically, if your opponent summons a monster face up, except during the damage step, because of course it's always except during the damage step, you can discard Ghost Mourner, then target one of the face up monsters that was special summoned that turn. Negate its effects until the end of the turn, and if the face up monster leaves the field, like if it's like a Link monster or a Synchro monster or whatever kind of monster, right? And it leaves the field, the person who controlled that monster takes life point damage equal to that monster's attack. And that's only for one monster, which is why you don't see Ghost Mourner used at all. Because it's, again, very situational. So, Unless you're in a situation to where the opponent is like a certain amount of life points away from losing, and then you get that in your hand and they do all that, and the monster leaves the field, they lose that many life points, which is either just enough or more than they can spare. They lose. That's the only time Ghost Mourner is going to be used. So, which is why people don't use it. And then there's Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. Where obviously it's always where it's the same as the others. Discard the card to activate its effect. But its effect is very interesting and honestly probably one of the more useful ones than Ghost Reaper or Ghost Mourner. Like, not as useful as like Ghost Bell or especially Ash Blossom, but still really useful. Ghost Sister's effect is each time your opponent special summons an effect monster during the main or battle phase, which a lot of meta decks tend to do, you gain life points equal to that monster's attack, which is a good thing. However, there is a downside to this. If you don't gain any life points by the effect, your life points are cut in half during the end phase. So, say you had a full 8,000, right? You discard the card. Your opponent doesn't do any special summoning during the battle or the main phase, right? And then it hits the end phase. Because you didn't gain life points, your life points go from 8,000 to 4,000 instantly. And it's that reason purely that Ghost Sister's not used at all. And why am I bringing up the Yokai Girls and their effects? Well, the reason is simple. I put all of them in my Live Twin Snake Eye deck. Now again, having all of them in the deck means that the deck can be bricky, which is why it bricks sometimes. However, in the off chance that they might come in handy, they're there in case if I ever need to use them. Otherwise, yeah, they're just bricks. But, again, I don't have to rely on their effects. I could, I don't have to, and even then, the off chance I'm going to be drawn into them anyway, and even fully utilize them, is very slim because, again, the main goal for the deck is to really, playing the deck as it is get Evil Twins Kill and Lil out, the main deck monster of the Evil Twins. Get Snake Eyes Flamber's Dragon and Snake Eyes DFL Star all on the field at once, and then just potentially attack for a game immediately in one turn. Like that field might take like 2 turns to make, but if you can make it, and there's nothing stopping you, instant win. That's basically the idea of the deck. However, if I'm in and this has happened to me in Master Duel, if I'm like playing like Labyrinth or a fellow Snake Eye player, and my life points are drastically much lower than my opponents, but because they're playing stuff like Labyrinth or Snake Eye, they can special summon a lot. And as long as, I have Ghost Sister in my hand, I can discard it as long as, she doesn't get negated or banished at all. I can activate her effect and then start gaining life points. Of course, the off chance that even then that might still not save me, they'll at least, ensure I have some security. So it's and again, that's a slim chance that'll happen. But if it does, the chance is still there. I can still utilize it if I absolutely need to. Not because I have to, but just in case I need to. Maxi. People only defend Maxi because they solely rely on Maxi. And we all know that if Konami does end up banning Maxi, the player base is gonna, because you banned Maxi, you just ruined my deck. Play the Mulch Armies. Play the Mulch Armies. The Mulch Armies basically have Maxi's effects. They're just not as broken. Even though Maxi does have one other effect, that there's one more effect than there are Mulch Army monsters as of right now. So, yeah, there's that, I guess. That's the only reason to, defend Maxi. But even then, Maxi still doesn't need to be defended. Shouldn't be defended at all. After the Mulch Armies exist. So, you're basically, just, ugh, it's terrible. But, again, if you can stop Maxi or whatever, then you're all good. And think about it. I'm someone who came back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Who played during the Duel Monsters era, early 2000s when I was a little kid. I was and when I came into Yu-Gi-Oh! Came back to Yu-Gi-Oh! After all these years, tried modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Trying to play Dark Magician with Big Shield Gardna, Kuribo, Queen's Knight, King's Knight, Jack's Knight, all that stuff. I was getting washed. Absolutely washed. I did say I wanted to quit playing the game because I wanted to play cards I was familiar with, that I knew, that I liked, while people out here Maxi, Ash Blossom, fucking Zeus, Numerons, all this is what the fuck? But I came back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially Master Duel, with that mentality, and now I have evolved into playing meta, and not just meta, but also cards I like fucking Trap Tricks. They're not meta. They're good, but they're not meta. Fucking Spirit Charmers. Again, not great. Not meta either. They're not great, but I like the archetype, so I want to play them. And then there's the Witchcrafters. While not exactly meta, but they're not bad either. They're pretty good. If you can make a pretty solid Witchcrafter deck like I did, you can. And believe me, I have beaten meta with Witchcrafters. If you can do that, that just makes the deck even more fun. And what's one thing none of my decks have in common? Maxi doesn't exist in them. And the reason, well, purely because, I also want to use the decks in the TCG, and Maxi is banned in the TCG. But you get, again, in the Master Duel versions of the decks, Still no Max C, because I refuse to defend that card, even though, I kind of did craft a Max C as, just like an extra crutch in my Brandon for Victory series, which lasted like, 3-4 episodes. It wasn't a very long series, but again, how many times did I have Max C resolve? Like, once? And throughout the entire series, and even then, I feel like I only drew like one card from it. It's a fact, so even then, didn't really matter. And even then, most of the time, like, when I won, did I really need a Utilite? Did I really need Maxi? No, I didn't. I did not need to utilize Max C. All I really needed most of the time was Mirror Jade on the field. As soon as I got Mirror Jade on the field, I basically won. So it's like, I didn't need to rely on Max C to win. Which, again, you don't need to. And it's stuff like Max C, Malice, Ryzia, which is why Master Duel, at least on PC, is dying. Because those are like all you really ever see nowadays. Because it's like people save up their gems, or if they don't have enough gems, they'll just like buy gems to get the cards they can use to dismantle, get the craft points to craft those cards the very day those archetypes come out. People do that. And why do they do that? They're meta. Basically, almost always a free win. And even then, that's still not the case, because quite literally, the absolute first time I encountered Malice, the first time I ever encountered Malice, the day they came out in Master Duel, I beat Malice with one single card. Yes, Malice was beaten using one single card. I was playing Trap Tricks, and if you know me, if you know my Trap Tricks deck, there is one card that can absolutely stop basically pretty much any deck. And that card, evenly matched. I played one whole card that entire game. I played against Malice for the first time, the day they came out. And that one card was evenly matched. And it wasn't the fact that evenly matched stopped the deck entirely. My opponent didn't surrender. Nah. My opponent's time was so low. And keep in mind, my opponent, who was using Malice, went first. Their time was so low to the point where it got to my turn and I activated evenly matched. They stalled before they could they stalled the time they had to banish their cards. To where they ran out of time. I only won against Malice that one time using evenly matched because they stalled long enough so they ran out of time. And keep in mind, I had Trap Tricks monsters in my hand that I was able to summon. So even then, playing a meta deck is not always an instant win. Shit. I lose using this deck sometimes. If I lose, well, whatever, unless it's like to a deck like Ubel or the one archetype to where it's an equip spell card. If you use an equip spell, I take the damage instead of my opponent, or it's like banish, 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 or negate, 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 banish, negate, banish. They do like a billion damage from one monster. You just lose. It's not unless I lose. Like, I don't mind losing unless it's to decks like that. If I lose to decks like that, it's like, what's the point of even fucking playing? That's not fun. Not fun for me, not fun for my opponent. And if you say, well, no, it's not, just because it's not fun for you doesn't mean it's not fun for your opponent. Like, no, they have to rely on shit like that to win. Like, that's not fun for anybody. There's zero skill in using stuff like that. Zero skill at all. Like, yes, they do those things. However, relying solely on those things just shows that you play stuff that doesn't really need to require any thinking at all. Again, coming from a Snake Eye player, once more, the first time I used Snake Eyes, I had zero idea how to use the deck. Zero. And you know what? I still kept getting wins. I still kept winning with Snake Eye, despite not knowing how the deck worked or played. That just comes to show playing a meta deck doesn't really require skill. And add stuff like Max C to that mix. Yeah, it's no wonder why people are quitting Master Duel. No wonder why people are quitting Master Duel. Or just Yu-Gi-Oh! Altogether. And then there's also, the TCG. You're probably wondering, well, why don't people just move to the TCG? The reason TCG is expensive, like, if you want to make, like, an actual deck, you're going to have to spend a few $100s on most usually spend, like, a few $100s on an actual deck. So it's like, why do that when I could just play something like Master Duel, get all the resources I need to make the decks, and then use the deck that way? Again, it's Master Duel. Ryzeal, Malice, Max C exist. For reasons I already talked about, that's why. So it's either you're spending a lot of money for cards, like actual cards, which might potentially be banned in the future, or you're hopping on a virtual Yu-Gi-Oh! Game where all of these problematic decks and cards just exist. So it's like, that are banned in the TCG. So it's like, it's basically, pick your poison. Do you want to suffer financially, or do you want to suffer emotionally and mentally? A lot of people have been moving to the TCG purely because, Max C. And then, again, Ryzeal, Malice being included in the mix, that's just making the player base just go down even more as it is. So it's like, do you want to lose, or do you want to become the kind of person you fucking hate? I mean, I guess I technically already did that because I play meta. So, and I hated people who played meta for like the longest time. But again, I don't play meta because their cards are meta. I play meta because I think the monsters are neat, which is why I play White Forest. Why I play Snake Eye. Because of that, I think the monsters are neat, so I use them. I like the monsters, therefore I want to use the deck. So it's like, and then I'm not the kind of person to where, oh, if I have to use meta to win, and if I don't win, then I'm not that kind of person. Like, I want to have fun. I want my opponent to have fun. If neither of us are having fun, then if both of us aren't having fun, then what's really the point in playing? Like, we play these games to have fun, let our opponents have fun, not to just ruin it for ourselves or our opponent or whoever we're playing with. We don't want to do that. And because of stuff like that, I feel like that's why Master Duel is slowly dying. Not because the game's bad or anything, it's because, again, with Ryziel, Malice, Maxi existing in the game all at once, people just aren't having fun with it anymore. And also which is also why I've been focusing on Melty Blood a bit more, and of course, maybe the Toho games here and there as well, but mostly Melty Blood lately because, again, I'm having more fun playing Melty Blood online with sweats and high ranked players than I am in Master Duel dealing with Maxi, Malice, or Ryziel. So it's, yeah. Again, I'm still suffering in Melty Blood when it comes to people like that. But at the same time, it's far more tolerable than playing Master Duel and dealing with all that all the time. And the Toho games, like, basically, it's single player 100. It's all single player. Like, and they're fun. Like, the games are hard, but that's what makes them so fun. They're difficult for a reason, to make you get better at the games, and that's where the fun and the replay value in the Toho games comes in, to get better. Whereas Master Duel, one single card can ruin the game. So it's like, what's even the point anymore, man? But yeah, this isn't me saying, well, I'm done with Master Duel forever, I'm not coming back. No, I'm going to keep playing Master Duel. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to keep playing Master Duel. It's just not going to be, well, it also has really been as frequent as it was, like, last year or the year before. But, it's still something I do plan on continuing with on the channel, at least occasionally, if I can think of some, like, great ideas for videos or something, like, or it's just like me just doing narrating over old replays I've got, which I do have, by the way. I do need to get back into doing that, because I do have a shit ton of replays I gotta go through. But unless I can think of something, or I just want, like, gems for, like, a bundle or something like that, then yeah, I'll, like, play it. But otherwise, yeah, until Konami does at least something about those cards, those decks, and especially Maxi, I don't really see myself coming back to Master Duel too often. And the same is going for a lot of people as well. So it's like, yeah. It's not real. I don't hate the game. I absolutely love Master Duel. I just hate some of the cards or the decks that people play. So it's like I love the game, but there's just some things about it I hate. But yeah. Anyways, that's all I really have to say. Thank you for hearing me ramble on. Oh man, it's been well over an hour. God damn. Just for this part of the video. That was before the edit. So this is after the edit. So it's like, whew. But yeah, again, thank you for hearing me ramble on. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. Let me know what you think. And if you defend Maxi, just know I'm laughing at you. I'm done. Oh boy. I need to get something to eat.